What the Pentagon wants us to believe is that the embedded reporter system used in the 2003 Iraq War was a change for them toward more openness. But it had nothing to do with openness. The Defense Department has no stake in a truly open media system in covering a war. It has a stake, as it always does, and as all armies have, a stake in control. The method by which it controls journalists changes. And that's what I think we have to learn, is that powerful institutions change the way they use reporters. They change the way they control the flow of media. But they don't change their central goal, which is to always remain, as much as possible, in control. The main thing they want is access to pictures. Television lives and dies with the image. And it was that access to the images that the reporters really needed. And in a context in which you have a very hyper-patriotic climate, in which reporters since 9/11 have made it clear that in a sense they've signed on to the American military's project, there's very little danger in giving those reporters access to the field. Those reporters have already signaled in many ways that they are in line with the Pentagon project. Their main concern is going to be filling that airtime, and with a 24-hour news cycle on cable news networks, that airtime is a large chunk of time. They need pictures, right? And in that climate, I think the Pentagon realized it was fairly safe to allow reporters direct access to the battlefield. There was a very telling moment with CNN's Walt Rogers, one of the embedded reporters, who was moving across the desert with the tanks and the armored vehicles. And he was conversing in real time with the anchor on the desk. And he said, he called this historic TV. Well, what was so historic about seeing tanks and armored vehicles roll across the desert? There's nothing historic about it. There's, quite frankly, nothing newsworthy about it. But the technology allowed them to send back live pictures. And the weaponry is so sophisticated and so overwhelming that it does provide for very dramatic television images, but with no real news content. And if you look back at the reporting that came out of the embedded television reporters especially, what you see is that kind of glorification of the power of the American army, which is exactly what the Pentagon likes to project, that kind of image. In that sense, the embedded reporters were often quite literally simply an arm of the Pentagon public relations machine.